There's this strange gap that so many of us feel. It's the gap between what success is supposed to feel like and what it actually feels like. From the outside, it might look like you're on this amazing upward journey, but on the inside, it can feel like you're just carrying this incredible, tangled weight. So let's get into that. Let's really unpack what's going on here.
So let's just start with this question right here. I want you to really think about it for a second, because for so many high achievers, the answer is a quiet but very definite yes. It's that nagging feeling that even with all the accomplishments, all the progress, you're carrying something around that nobody else can even see.
And that feeling, well, it leads us right to what you could call the success paradox. This is the core conflict, right? It's the battle between how the world sees you and how you actually feel, day in and day out.
And this slide just lays it out so perfectly. You've got two completely different stories being told at the same time. The external view, well, that's the highlight reel. Successful, more than capable, totally on track. But then there's the internal feeling, and that's often the polar opposite. A mind that just won't shut off, a feeling of being completely overloaded, and this low-grade, constant sense of being, well, a bit unclear.
And let's be really, really clear about something. This has nothing to do with your competence. You're intelligent, you're capable. I mean, that's how you got where you are in the first place. The paradox, the tricky part, is that you can be all of those things and still feel like you're just a few degrees off course, Like you're trying to find the right path in the middle of a whole lot of noise.
So if we're going to understand this, we have to start decoding what's actually creating that heavy feeling. It all comes down to what we call the mental load. So what does that actually look like? What does it feel like? Let's break it down. See, this isn't just thinking a lot. No, it's a whole different animal. It's that constant debate you have with yourself over every little thing. It's getting trapped in those endless loops of overthinking. It's playing that mental tape of past decisions over and over again, wondering, did I make the right call? And of course, it's the nonstop second guessing of your own judgment. And all of that, it leads right to that last point. You carry your work home, not in a bag, but right here in your mind.
And this quote, wow, it just nails it, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of the matter. Look, having a senior role means you're going to have a lot on your plate. That's just part of the deal. But having a lot in your life is an external thing. Carrying a lot in your mind, that's an internal state. And that's where all the weight is coming from. Okay, this brings us to a really crucial realization. Because, see, we often get the diagnosis completely wrong. We think we need to be more productive, learn a new skill, just work harder. But what if that's not the real bottleneck at all?
Right. Let's just say this loud and clear. The issue is not, and has never been, a lack of capability. You've got the skills, you've got the intelligence, you've got the experience. Trying to pile more on top of that is not the answer.
The real issue is a lack of space. And I mean mental space. That quiet, clear space that you need to actually think things through, to connect the dots, and to hear your own gut feeling above all the noise and all the demands.
I absolutely love this quote because it just cuts through everything. We're always being sold the next big strategy, the next big framework. But for most leaders who are really making an impact, the most powerful tool they have isn't some new strategy. It's just the ability to think with total clarity.
So, if the problem is a lack of space, then the solution has to be about creating it. That sounds simple, but how do you actually do that? How do you carve out a real, dedicated space to just think?
Well, this is where a really interesting concept comes in. One used by organizations like Motivate Coaching. It's the idea of a thinking partner. Now, pay close attention to the definition here. This is not a consultant who's going to show up and give you all the answers. It's a structured, supportive relationship designed for one thing and one thing only, to give you a dedicated space to step out of the chaos and find your own clarity.
And the goal of creating this space, it's pretty profound. It's all about making that journey from being trapped in all that mental noise to practicing real, powerful self-leadership. Because let's be honest, you can't really lead a team or an organization effectively if you can't first lead yourself from a place of genuine clarity.
And you can see how this actually works. It's a natural progression. When you intentionally create that space to think, the first thing that happens is you reduce the noise. Once things are quieter, you start to gain real clarity. When you have that clarity, you know what happens? You start to actually trust your own judgment again. And when you lead from that place of trusted judgment, that's when you lead effectively. See? It's a direct chain reaction.
So ultimately, that's what this is all about. It's about creating an environment, a space where leaders and their teams can finally do the deep, proper thinking they need to do, and then lead from that powerful foundation of clarity.
So, I want to leave you with this one final thought to reflect on.
If you could just push pause, quiet all the noise, all the second-guessing, all that mental weight you've been carrying, what is the one decision you could finally make with true, uncomplicated clarity?